Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Kabir, the one who was the most high, the most lofty, في ذاته وفي آله وفي أسمائه وصفاته سبحانه وتعالى وليس كمثله شيء. وأنه أكبر الشهادة في الدنيا والآخرة، أكبر الشهادة في الدنيا والآخرة سبحانه وتعالى. نحمده. We praise Him. I praise Him. You should praise Him because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Arham ar-Rahimin. He's the most merciful of those that could show compassion. وأن رحمته سبحانه وتعالى أوسع من عذابه وعقابه كما أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في يعني أكثر من واحد من حديثه. فنحمد الله سبحانه وتعالى من جلاله والإكرام على أنه هدانا إلى الإسلام والسنة ومعرفة الصحابة أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وهم بارك الله فيكم أساس الدين، وهم الذين رضي الله عنهم في الأولين والآخرين، هم الذين نصروا الإسلام وكانوا مع أصحاب رسول الله، وكانوا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قبل هجرته وبعد، وفي جهاد وفي فتح المكة، وأنهم نشوا الإسلام بما أنزل الله سبحانه وتعالى إلى النبي الكريم، ولا يبدل حرفا من كتاب الله ومن سنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلنا معهم يوم يبعثون تحت العرشه الكريم العظيم سبحانه وتعالى. نعم. Ameen. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us to be with those illustrious companions. Oh, they, Allah took the Islam to the world, them and the children. They did not deviate, they did not change, they did not crack under pressure, they did not try to substitute even a single syllable or letter from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the precious, authentic sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in their lives. May Allah make us from amongst them, like them, with them, and the hereafter, and bless us to be from amongst those who appreciate their efforts and defend their honor and their legacy that they left, وهو الإسلام والسنة. Ameen. Today we were talking about the issue of Bayan al-Haq min al-Batil, وخطور عدمها, the issue of clarifying and distinguishing, making clarity between what's right and what's wrong, and its dangers of the opposite, not doing so. And this, wallahi, is one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the Quran, why the Quran was sent. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْهِ, to make clear what Allah sent to the people, He sent it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine Allah, had He willed, out of His knowledge, يَفْعَلُونَ مَا يَشَاءُ, and each one would do what they like with their Quran. تأويل فاسدة, تأويل بعيدة, would Harf on the kalim and mawadi'. This one is far gone in his perception. This one is way to the left of what he thinks. This one changes the word from his intended or proper meaning. Think how it would be guided if that was the case. ولكن الله يعرف ما هو أحسن وأتم لخلائقه سبحانه وتعالى. Allah knows what is most perfect. He knows what is the best for all of his creation. And that's why Imam Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymin rahimahullah ta'ala, when he talked about this chapter, Riyadh al-Salihin, he said, it's possible that a person could begin قد يكون ناس يبين ولا يدعو إليه. Person, maybe he may clarify. For example, somebody asked a question today about sex. He asked a question about sex. We'll have firaq. We'll have ماذا طوائف, groups. So he asked a legitimate question about back home and how he came up in this group and that group. So for me, I had to beg him. I could have said to him, "Akhi, ana ma adri." I don't know. And I knew. I could say, "Akhi, ma أريد أفتح الباب من الفتن." I don't want to make fitna. And of course, if there's some fitna to be made, then this is proper. But there was no fitna. But some people that he's shy. He want to enter that you dash and feet. So I had to explain to him. But then after that, da'wah. إلى ما مسلم إلى أمر. Then now I have to invite him. Tell him about what's connected as it relates to that thing for his own good. So Shaykh al-Amin, he mentioned, he said, maybe a person may clarify, but he may not tell the person what's good for him. He may not call him to what's best for him. He said, but if the person clarifies, وَيَدْعُ فَهَذَا هُوَ أَكْمَلُ وَأَفْضَلُ وَهَذَا هُوَ أَكْمَلُ مَاذَا وَأَفْضَلُ. This is more complete than this time. And that's why Allah, He combined the both of them throughout the Quran. بيان حق من الباطل والدعوة إليه. ادعوا إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. نعم. ادعوا إلى سبيل ربك. نعم. This is calling. والحكمة حكمة ده هو يبين هذا من هذا, to distinguish, clarify. وموعظة الحسنة, another issue of baking. And this time of life, even the manabir, the people around the world, they use the minbar for siyasa, politics. Use the minbar for these days jokes and laughter. And some people, wallah musta'an, but they don't understand what's connected to giving a type of admonishment or awakening is also teaching. And that's what Sallam, once he mounted the minbar. وكان يصلي عليه الصلاة والسلام فيه. وعندما أراد أن يركع ماذا يركع في المنبر. What prostrate on the minbar. And he will raise from Sami Allahu liman hamid. Then when he wants to make the sajda, instead of sallam nazala qaqa, he will turn around backwards and come down. Step number 3 to 2, step number 2 to 1, step number 1 to the ground, the base of the minbar. ثم رجع ثلاث خطوة. He will take 3 steps back. Because obviously speaking, there's no way to make sajda if the minbar is in front of him. So it has to have the clearance, it has to have the space where it can make it sajda. So imagine, you're at the base of the minbar, you take 1 step back, 2 step back, 3 step back. Now, if you were to make sajda, prostration, you have the ability. وَلَعَلَّ يُوصِلَ رُؤُوسِكُمْ إِلَى Asli mimbar. Maybe your head will just maybe barely touch the base of the mimbar, like brush the hair. So the Prophet, he did that, raised from sajda, and then when he finished, he took the 3 steps back to the mimbar, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, turn around, and then he said, this is the salat I'm showing you. Well, the ta'limu salat, so that you could understand and know my salat. صلوا كما صليت كما يعني صلوا ماذا كما رأيتموني أصلي. So pray the way that you just see me demonstrate. A long story to that. Normally you just hear the people say, pray as you see me pray. There's a story behind it, which we just narrate briefly. So the point is, this is part of Mau'idah. This is part of Yani, admonishment or enlightenment or teaching or awakening, teaching the mimbar. So all of this, you could see the concept of making clarity to the people. Wow, look, he's doing that on the stage. Is how it appears up high. Oh, that's how you do it. Oh, he's saying like this. MashaAllah. Baby. Hatam and Batam. And the danger when we don't have this, then maybe a person, he thinks al-haq al-batil al-batil haq, which is dangerous. So this person thinks the haq is batil, he puts that over here. And he takes the batil and puts it over there. He thinks this, young color, he switches. Dangerous. So this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, give us these 2 components. دلالة البين والدعوة إليه. Now, the showing and the directives and the tutorage and the need for clarification, making things clear, and then inviting people, sign up, come on, take this class, come on, would you like, why don't you try this? This is like this, doubt to you. We mentioned also the issue of, the issue of hikmah. This is very important because sometimes people think that every time something has to be said, you must say it in this way. But every time something takes place, you must take a stance. And that's not the reality of the word at all, hikmah. As we said again, in the Arabic language, it said, I need to put something in its proper place, deal with something, the way that it should be dealt with. As it says, it comes down the pipe. Don't deal with it before it's time. And we see like Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala clearly mentioned this in the Quran when He said, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ يَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ طَعَانًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Don't insult the deities of those people who worship other than Allah. Yeah, they may be making sure. Yeah, they may be blaspheming. Yeah, they may be calling people to it. Yeah, Allah mentioned تفاطر سماوات تكاد السماوات وتفطر now the heavens, the earth shake when they make this Jesus, the Lord, the Son, God. But still, what's going to be the end result when you make a move? Is it going to be more rectification than turmoil, or you're going to bust the pipe wide open while we just had a little leak? So Allah said, don't insult their deities, their gods. This also includes don't insult them either. Because if you do that, what do you think by nature they're going to do? Allah told you, they're going to insult Allah. They're going to insult Allah. Talk bad about Allah. Then talk bad about the messenger. Talk bad about the believers. So this, and he put something in its proper manazil, its proper wada, happen. Now it's proper. As they say, and this is where they get the origin of the statement. Every statement has its proper place. Every statement has its proper place. I remember one time we had a brother just accept Islam, an older man too. And he had to be focused toward 68 years old. A couple of years ago, African American came to the masjid in Durham, accepted Islam. So, you know, the brothers, they always would say, to talk to Shaikh Ukkasha like this. So they directed him to me, you know, he's African American, I'm African American, you know, we can relate, you know. And so, you know, the guy said, I accepted Islam, you know, Ramadan. It's after Ramadan. I said, okay, alhamdulillah. He said, I got tired of worshiping a God that was Anglo-Saxon. They wanted to worship the real creator. They want to worship their white man, you know, and be in the white man's religion no more. So, okay. So, you know, obviously this man has to learn about the Tabarak or the Ta'ala and so forth. So, I remember he came to my house. He had some personal stuff he wanted to talk about. So I trusted him in the house, let him come. He said, just me and him, drink some, you know, juice, and he opened up to me. So then, a short time after that, one of the brothers, he said, I remember Sheikh Nazir, he said, man, you know, you need to call this brother, man. He said, I got a call from him today. He's thinking about leaving Islam. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. So I called him, but it was a bit too late. It had already entered his heart, you know, the lack of hikmah, how people dealt with this. So, almost time, he went across town. It was on one side of town, was a masjid, another side of town was another masjid. And these particular brothers, they are known and they to claim they're on the hop, on the dawah of our prophet, companions. Mashallah tabarak wa ta'ala. They are upon what's right, and everybody else is upon dalal. You know, they're astray. So they had this brother, they're riding with him, he's in the car with him, and they're picking him apart about wearing gold, about eating pork, about riba, credit cards, loans, this and that. So he said, wait a minute. He said, you know, I can't do anything as far as you guys are concerned. He said, and now that you're telling me on top of that, I can't even get a loan. He said, listen, my house is old. I'm a man on disability. I have one income. I can't work. I have medical issues. And the insurance is telling me I have to replace this old roof. If I don't replace this old roof, then they're going to drop me. And you have to have homeowner's insurance. He said, I'm forced to take out an equity loan against my own house to get that roof fixed. He said, you mean to tell me if I do that, according to what you're saying, I'm going to hell? The brother said, Ahi, riba's haram. The dawah, you know, this is the way, you know, salaf, you know, we on the hop, we salafi, you know, we follow the way of Quran, sunnah. You over there with those people, bid'ah, see, look. Wallahi, he left Islam. He left Islam because of that. So it's a practical, but you can see the reality of, you know, why Allah revealed ayahs like this. The issue of, hikmah. Hikmah, be strategic in what you say and where you put stuff. It's not always just black and white. We'll give you an example. What the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Man ra'a minkum munkaran, mada? Whoever from amongst you sees some evil. So you see a prostitute, she's walking the street. I don't know. The guy on something looks like a kitchen curtain. I wouldn't do that. Short top. So you run over there with a stick, you beat her, haram, haram, taqillah. So you throw her jilbab and keep her. Change it with your hand, happen. The Prophet said, فَإِلَّا مَاذَا تَسْتَطِعُ. This shows you hikmah. Maybe you're not able to. And then he mentioned the tongue. You see something, you want to speak about it. Sheikh Uthaymeen give an example. He said, a person, he's in the salat and he's talking in the salat. We know that there's no place for human speech in the salat. Before the salat, you can speak, you can talk, you can eat, you can laugh. Ba'at takbir al-ihram, about ما فيش أكل ولا شرب ولا كلام ولا يعني شيء. That's it. Hey, I'm thirsty. Put your drink back. صراط الذين أنعمت. Okay, you want the salah. Brother, he's tight on you, praying. I think, could you move over there, man? You want the salah. Have to be patient. But some people will lie, they don't know. You know what I mean? He says, so this person, he's talking to the salah. Not the shit don't be harsh with him. ولا يكون غليظ فيه. Don't be rough. Just tell him after the salah, in the يعني الصلاة يعني ليس لشيء من كلام الناس. For the salah, you shouldn't talk with the salah. ولكن الصلاة للتكبير والتصديق قراءة القرآن. But rather to glorify Allah, to magnify and read the Quran. That's the gentle, with ease. He doesn't know. He said, but it's different from the person he knows. But he's doing it anyway. It's different. So that person going to deal with it different than the person who didn't know. In the hadith, there was a man, Allahu Musta'an, once he was in the salah, and he sneezed. What do you do when you sneeze? Do you say, God bless you? Thank you. What do you say? Excuse me. I'm sorry. What do you say? Allah Musta'an. Do you say takbir? Do you say subhanallah? Do you say alhamdulillah? What do you say when you sneeze?
Kazanta.
Kazanta. Kazanta. What do you say when you sneeze, guys? Or you guys don't sneeze? You're unsneezable people. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Somebody disagreed. He said, say alhamdulillah. Somebody else. That's true. Don't be shy.
You mean when you pray?
No, when you sneeze. Period.
Outside the prayer, right?
No, when you sneeze.
You said alhamdulillah.
Jazakumullah khair. Can you say alhamdulillah ala kulli hal?
لا
No.
لا لا.
لما ولا.
Because it's not part of the tahmid or tasbih. In the salah you can only do tasbih.
لا مش في الصلاة أنا أتكلم ب يعني شخص يعني ماذا حتشو مش الصلاة. The person he sneezes. Can you say alhamdulillah على كل حال؟
لا. السبب ليس صحيح.
السبب ليس صحيح. جزاك الله خير.
في الحديث يقول إذا عطس فحمد الله. فحمد الله فشمته. في الحديث يقول في الحديث هناك يقول إذا عطس فحمد الله فليحمد الله. الحمد لله ويرد عليه الآخر يرحمك الله وغفر الله لنا ولك والله أعلم.
بارك الله فيكم ما شاء الله توجيه طيب. يعني الحديث رسالة mention حق المسلم على المسلم 5 وفي رواية 6 عند البخاري ومسلم حديث أبو هريرة وغيره. One of them إذا عطس فحمد الله شمته وأصله شمت غلط يعني يقلب شين سين سمته وشمته أي أن تقول يرحمك الله. If you hear him sneeze, say alhamdulillah. In one narration, say also, Shaykh Islam said, yes, you can find between both, you can do them both. غفر الله لنا ولكم. بس الرحمة ما هو إلا المغفرة. What is rahmah except forgiveness? Or what is forgiveness except rahmah? It's a form of rahmah. So this we know. If you say alhamdulillah ala kulli hal, then we know the Prophet ﷺ used to say alhamdulillah alladhi tatimma ni'matihi ala ibadi salih. That's what it was something yusurahu, something make him happy. وَذَا كَانَ شَيْئًا لا يسره قال الحمد لله على كل حال. But something that didn't make him happy will say alhamdulillah no matter what. Because this is the meaning of alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Al هنا يعني يفيد استقراق. يعني في السراء والضراء. In the good time and bad time you praise Allah no matter what. Because even you don't see it, there's a wisdom behind the calamity. There's a wisdom behind the thing you don't like. So you still praise Allah. So the sabbath, Shaykh Abdul Hudayfa said to the brother, what do you say, what's your name?
Sha'ban.
Sha'ban, barakallahu feekum. Yani, in Egypt, there was a guy named Sha'ban in Ramadan. It's common in Egypt. Ismuhu Sha'ban, wa ismuhu Ramadan. And wallahi, Allah, they were Rajulani Sayyani. They were evil men. They robbed me. So I said Ramadan, and Sha'ban. And I said Shaitan wa Ta'ban. Switch the names. You don't deserve Ramadan wala Sha'ban. Allah knows that. This is famous name Sha'ban. So, praise Allah when you sneeze. Period. This is a general text. The Prophet said, "Illa fi salat kharij." He said, "Ida qasa hamdulillah." And one narration, "Faqul alhamdulillah." Say alhamdulillah. So the point is, the one who doesn't know, you deal with him different. This Sahabi was praying and he said, "Achoo," sneeze. But after he sneezed, he said, "Alhamdulillah." Some people in the salat looked at him like, man, what? They just caught themselves. They probably said, what the heck did you? It just looked like they want to do something too. Because they consider that kalam min al-bashariya la yatadaman fi salat. They consider that these statements and sayings that's not connected to salat. Some ulama, they said, ajazahu bi هذا الشيء لأن الحمد من الصلاة. Some of them said he gets a reward because it is from the salah. Bada'an, in general. The point is that, you see, he wasn't scolded. Prophet didn't jump on him. Likewise, Aba Bakra, الذي ركع راكعا قبل الصف ثم ماشي إليه. The person came, imagine, come to the door, and the people say, Allah Akbar. Now you want to catch the ruku. You can't dash like people do today. Brother, dash it. Like Michael Jordan, some soccer player, Olympic player, to get to the ring. He's all out of breath and still missed the rak'ah. So you say, but if I make ruku and walk to the saf, I caught it. And I didn't run. So I caught the rak'ah. I obeyed the Prophet. I didn't hastily run. And, mashallah, I'm good. So he did that. Remember, one of the miracles of the Prophet, you see from behind his back. So after it was over, the Prophet, he mentioned it. And Abu Bakr, he said, nah. He said, I was the one who did this. The Prophet told him, Zadakallah, 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 Hirsan, wala ta'ud. Allah, increase you in eagerness to do good. Wala ta'ud. But la ta'ud, don't do that one, or don't repeat that, or leave that off. Some scholars have different meaning to what's wala ta'ud, because the rak'ah is still counting. You see? And you'll have some narrations in the Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba that other Sahaba did it, Jabir ibn Abdullah, or Nafr min al-Sahaba, like كانوا ليسوا بعيد من الصف, but they were close to the Saf, where they could take 2 steps and be in the Saf. أما 15 15 steps, you cross the street, that's too much. The Salah has a limit to moving other too much, or mutawalli, turning too far from the Qibla, 45 degrees and so forth. But you see the issue of hikmah, how to put things in the proper place. Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah once, the fitna of the Tatar, Allah Musta'an, who later became Muslim, by the way. All of that blood and killing and fitna, they have the nerve to become Muslim, make tawbah later on, years after Shaykh al-Islam and all of this fitna. And Allah Musta'an. Show you again, biyadillah, it's not in our hands. Once they were passing the people that were drinking. Imagine you go out and people drinking beer, wine, loud music right in front of the masjid. Maybe when Mahmoud he say, hey, y'all gotta clear this out. It's the masjid. He did this, all right, bro, all right, man. But those people, if you do that, they're gonna do some other stuff. If they're not high, they're upset, so they're gonna rob, steal, shoot, rape. Imagine. Which one is the greater sin? To let them do public drunkenness and be loud, or to aid them in stealing, robbing, raping, torturing, killing the Muslim? Which one is the worst? The latter, of course. Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah didn't say anything. Walked past as if they weren't there. So they asked him when they got to safety, he said, Shaykh, about that. تنهون عنهم هذه سوء وقضية. He said, because when they're drunk, they don't torture the Muslims, they don't lock up the people of the Sunnah, they don't rape the women, they don't beat the people, they don't steal. They're just drunk. Leave them alone. But when they're sober, this is when they do all of this other evil that affects everybody else. Look at the hikmah. Well, sometimes this is the case, but we overlook this and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us better. That's why these lessons are very important. And they are in line with what the Prophet is a khayrukum man ta'allam al-Qur'an wa 'allamahu. From the hadith of Uthman, akhrajahu fi Bukhari. And the best from amongst you are the people who learn the Quran and teach it. And many ulama, they said, if this person memorized the Quran totally or juz'iyyan, partially, or he studies it with his shuyukh and he becomes proficient, he knows it and he teaches to other, he falls under this great category in this hadith. So this wallah musta'an is what we want to mention from today when we talk about the khutbah. And it's not by mistake, the next chapter, Imam Nawawi, he brings the chapter of man sunnah to sunnah hasana. Now, whoever introduces, and he called it sunnah to hasana. Because sunnah or sunnah in the Arabic language is tariqah, a way or some type of practice. Could be good, could be bad. We use it, we say sunnah, we don't mean bad. But Allah uses in the Quran, it says sunnatullah fi mada fi khalqi. Now, the way that Allah is with His creation. So some people are astray. That's sunnah. Sunnatullah. This is not a good sunnah, it's a bad sunnah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't like that you be astray. But this is sunnah, kawniyya. This is the way Allah deals with the universe. And Allah knows if these people will be guided, they will reject the truth anyway. So Allah used the word sunnah. Salah, he used the term sunnah. So it's general. And this, the second chapter after we just took the issue of the first clarification and making matters clear, and then inviting people to those things that you made clear. That's good. The issue of whoever starts something first. And it's good, Allah will be rewarded for that initial thing that he made clear, and now he's calling the people to. He will reap some reward like the one who follows him in that. They will both get a reward. And the Prophet said, that person will not lose the reward who's following, although they both rewarded for their similar actions. And if it's a bad thing, you institute, you start, you inspire, you spearhead something evil, and you're going to have the sin. You will have it on your back. And we say, Yahmul Awzar. You feel it on your back when you do evil. The brother was asking about depression earlier. There's something you feel, the sin, the weight of sin. That's why Allah said, Summun bukmun umyun. Deaf, dumb, and blind. He's talking about sin. He's talking about sin, the noob. Like Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, Man nazala bala illa bidhanbin, wala rufa'a illa bitawbah. Now, the people don't get catastrophes. And we're not talking about Allah tests you to make you strong or to see if you're great. We're talking about catastrophes that affect everybody. And and then in people's individual lives, he or she has catastrophe because the ID-kum. It's from something you did with bad. You don't do any good and then Allah want to test you because you did good. No, Allah tests you because He wants to increase you, or you get a test because you did something bad. And the test bad is now musibah. It's like a punishment, a quba, or to bring you back. So the Prophet ﷺ, Allah Musta'an, he used to, and he talked about this issue, and he called it sunnah. When you institutionalize, you start, you spearhead something good, this is the fruit of the clarification and the fruit of inviting. It's continuously residual reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you see it helps the neighborhood, it helps the community, it grows the society, and this is how the Islam is spread. Think about all of those people that traveled and they went to land and people accepted the Islam just based on mu'amalats, the interaction, the good things and deeds they seen. SubhanAllah. Most people accept Islam because of what they see, not because of what they hear. Most people accept Islam because of the good character, because that's the thing that touches the people's heart. And they said if it was up to me, if it had to do with Muslims, some people said I would never accept Islam. Because of what they see from the Muslims, the shortcoming. But because of the haqq they heard, the truth that touched them, they accept Islam. But then you have the flip side. Some people accept Islam because they see the good of the Muslim, the interaction of the Muslim. That's why the Prophet he mentioned, أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةِ بِحُسْنِ الْخُلَقِ in the Sunnah of Imam Tirmidhi Aba Isa. He said most people will enter the paradise, not because how much raka'ah he prayed. We're not saying don't pray. It's not de-emphasizing ibadah, salat, la. Or rukn al-thani min arkan al-Islam, ba'd al-shahada, salat, baba'ah, وفيه مراتب وفيه سنن مؤكد وفيه نوافل وفيه. How the salat is connected to things, salat is independent, voluntary, things that salat is very well stressed and obligation. But most people will pray and have some nifaq, hypocrisy. Most people will pray and have some ri'ah, showing off. Most people will pray, but they don't reflect. So they lose out. I'm not sure if it's the one who have a good character, subhanAllah. The Prophet said most people, they're nice to Jannah, because of the good character. It's a staple part of the iman, how you treat a person. Now, this is tied to the issue of the chapter we mentioned, the Lit Salihin, the evidence and the proof of clarification and inviting to that thing you clarify to, and then the one who starts something good or bad, guess what? It's going to be a residual in a person getting some of that back. What goes around comes around. You can use that in good and bad, positive, negative. Now, so this is important, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the end, He reminds us of these things when it comes to what Allah tests you with and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you. Because sometimes when we get things, nafrah, we become joyful. And it's good to become joyful because of the ni'mah. And sometimes when we lose something or something's taken away, then we become people of huzn. Well, Tabarak wa ta'ala remind us, don't do either one. Because all of it's from the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah takes something from you, this is part of making yourself, controlling yourself. And I don't like the term, make yourself pleased with the decree of Allah. Because you're talking about human nature. You tap your car, you're supposed to get out and say, yes, alhamdulillah, my car is cool. It doesn't fit, fitrah. It doesn't fit logic and reality. But the fact that you don't, as they say, it's thought, you don't fall to pieces, start cursing and breaking stuff and screaming, and you go crazy, you lose it. This is the part you control yourself. with the decree of Allah that you don't like. But they say the decree is twofold, yani, khayr wa shar. What you see of good and bad. The bad is a test. You know, and the good is a test, because some people, when they get the good of the decree, they forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah. That's why the masajid sometimes you find them empty, because people have too much khayr. So they're at the shirara, in the street, here and there. But when Allah put the clamp on them, it's difficult. You see them in the masjid. So the water comes to liquor and this and that. Because it's too much, so they draw close to Allah. لتجري في الفلك دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين. Look at the people in the ship. Mushrikun. Allah said, but they're going to call on Allah when it becomes difficult. Now, once we make them safe, they go back to their ship. This is the case. You got Allah in good times. You only remember Him because it's different. Now, so this Allah, He reminds us of that, because when Allah tests you with something, remember, it's Allah as well jealous. It's His decree. He tests you. And when He gives you something, if you become too happy, you become you become person, sahib ujub. You believe it's because of me, what I did. Yes, you forget this is something Allah decreed for you. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yuhibbu kulla mukhtarin fakuh. Because you become ungrateful and you stuck on yourself arrogance because something Allah gave you. Allah He gave it to you. And Allah He can take it. So this life, we don't, Allah admonish you not to do that. Don't become joyful at what Allah gave you. Yeah, be happy, thank Allah, but remember Allah decreed that for you. Don't take it that it's because what you did, or you get so joyed that you forget Allah gave it to you, you can take it. And if Allah takes something from you, He tests you, Allah, don't think it's the end of the world. And they said, وَلِكُلِّ بَلَى حَسَنًا. Out of every calamity, we want to find some good. Out of every calamity, there is some good. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala جَعَلَ شَيْءٍ مِنْ عِلْمِهِ وَمِنْ حِكْمَتِهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى وَحِكْمَتِهِ بَالِغَةٍ. And Allah's why He did something is so profound and deep. No one knows all of the reasons why except Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who benefit from the chapters that we heard from Brother Salihin. Make it a reality for us to be mindful of what we initiate, what we start, what we spearhead, how we are examples for good or bad, that which is in our life and religiously. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His help. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير. Any questions and answers, comments? Before the floor is open, what do you guys want? Something in the morning after Fajr, or something after Dhuhr, or something after Asr, tomorrow after Maghrib and Isha, or this is it? You want to close the door? Somebody said Maghrib and Isha.
نعم وفي بعد صلاة الفجر الله المستعان.
طيب. طيب.
مبكرا.
You know, it be hurt. I know.
مبكرا.
A lot of times back at the ranch here, sometimes I'll be the only one in the
صلاة الواحد.
Me and the angels in the jet. Still sleeping. Yes, it's early. طيب بين المغرب والعشاء وتكسب أبواب إن شاء الله فضائل الصبر والشكر Quran كذا. Because we just left Ramadan, so we should still keep the light. They said the Salaf, they used to be longing for Ramadan 6 months after it left, missing it. And 6 months before it comes back, be preparing. So this should be the spirit of the Muslim روح الإسلامي.
وشباب موجود بعد صلاة الظهر. نعم. بعد صلاة الظهر الشباب موجود.
ولكن تقصي غدا يكون متعب.
صلاة المغرب متأخر في هذه فصل الساعة 9.
طيب أخي كل شيء يعني كما تحبون وكما يعني تراءون هكذا أنتم يعني أعلم الناس بأحوالكم أنا بيوتكم جزاكم الله خير وإن كان بعض الظهر شوية أو لا بعض الظهر شوية وبعض المغرب شوية لا بأس الحمد لله جزاكم
بارك الله فيك جزاك الله خيرا وزادك الله علما وإيمانا.
آمين نفع الله بنا إن شاء الله جميعا. Any questions around the topic? Comments, ruts, redud?
Thank you.
Allah.
Also the موضوع. So the question is, I want more clarification about this thing that is going on around the war about Palestine stuff. So where is the hukum of mudaharat? People think they doing like peace protesting, make signs and stuff. Where is the hukum of that?
الحمد لله رب العالمين صلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. يعني والله جزاكم الله خيرا. This is complex. We talk about the question, the resolution, and also the arguing back and forth over these issues. Some people, they try to say the protesting is from Islam, and because they said that the Sahaba, they were protesting, marching at the Kaaba, and they were not. When we read in the books of Sirah, read in the books of Hadith, and هذا يعني منكر ليس صحيح. It's not sahih. And I mean, you also have some people say khuruj al-hukam. This is going against the government, because most of the time it's around elections. That's around one is yani Malik or yani Sultan al-Jari, as the Prophet mentioned, he's an oppressive ruler. And we know that there's some tarikh, some history where some of the ulama from Anambali, from the Hanbalis, they were strong against this because the authorities were torturing, beating, imprisoning, killing. Yani, those people who said something out against them. And we know the rule of thumb is that, again, the Prophet said, if you don't have the ability to do it and make a difference, or the difference is going to be 60% bad, 40% good, you have to take the thing that's going to be the most resolved. You can't say, well, we'll take the 40% good for the 60% bad. Nah. If it's nus, 50-50, then you weigh out which one. But anytime the bad is more, khalas, by default you have to leave it. This is the religion of Allah and the rule of thumb from the Quran and the Sunnah. So people, they say, because of this, don't do it. But actually, we, when we talk about in America, are different from in Palestine, in the way that their struggle is similar, but Wallah Musta'an, this is not Dawlat Islamiyah. They're Dawlat Kufr like Nahnu, like we are. The difference is our government allows us to vocalize what we don't like to a degree, because you can't just say anything, but you have freedom to express your rights and what's wrong with the government. You have in the Qawaneen, in the Constitution itself, which Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned, bil ma'ruf, bil ma'ruf, bil ma'ruf. And here, bil ma'ruf means the way that is known and accepted with the people. So if the thing is bil ma'ruf, known and accepted to the people, this is in line with the Sharia. So as long as it doesn't make you belittle or compromising or something that aggravates the peace, then it's in line with the Sharia. So most people, they will say, but these people, when they do the protest, then they're going to loot and terror. Actually, they're two separate things. We've seen the people peacefully get out in the street and talk about the thing and protest, and nothing was done, vandalism, no looting. We know that. And we were never called to loot and tear up, because it's haram against Islam. So for Palestine, like our case, this is not Muslim countries. If the Muslim tell you the rule in the country, according to the leadership, don't do it, and it becomes something that the people know and they're used to, then of course they can't do it. Because they're violating the same thing, was ma'ruf in that country. Although Islam may allow it, as the Prophet mentioned, kufr bawah. Clear kufr. In this hadith, he said you can go against the leader. Many people don't like to talk about that hadith. It's not true. And he's talking about the leaders. But what's the condition here? Again, you got to wait. You're going to go against the leader, even he's drinking khamr in front of everybody. He's making zina. You know he has a whorehouse. Allah Mustan, he said, I don't believe you have to pray. After he still have the army, he can crush you. What are you going to do? Is it worth it? Is it going to change the quality of our life to go against that leader? And now blood is running in the streets. So when we talk about these issues, Palestine, protesting, here in America, people do it because, again, it's part of what they allow us to do. You can protest for anything, long as you don't incite. And now, since January the 6th of the Capitol, I don't know. SubhanAllah. But even the old Shaykh of Azhar, they said talking out, protesting is from the religion. They said, we agree. They said, and we are the majority against a small minority of Salafi scholars from the Mamlakat al-Arabiya Saudi. It's in the old Azhar Fatwa. Because they said, the Prophet said, man, رَأَى مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا مَاذَا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ فَإِنْ لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ. The Prophet mentioned this. They use it as a nas. Imagine that hadith in the form of signs and sticks and people walking and chanting. You can't say, man, y'all playing with the religion. The Prophet said it. That's wahi from 1442 years ago. Ajib. Where it fits, again, hikmah. You plug it in. Where it doesn't fit, you unplug it. So in a non-Muslim society, it's different from a Muslim society. Same thing when we talk about the adhan. In the Muslim society, that's adhan everywhere. But in the Muslim society, that's again, urf of the people. And America is not the urf. Have ordinances and city this and zoning, so based on where you are, who you are, what time it is, why, when, that issue can change about protesting. And only the one who's narrow-minded would just say, haram, 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 or worse than that, khuruj al-hukam is going against the leaders. Come on. When are the leadership going to ever be accountable? When are the leadership ever going to be accountable? And the Prophet talked about them in a bad way. Yeah. So Allah Muslim, may Allah help us. Hasbunallah. Hope that answers your question. No doubt, we're going to add on top of that, this is political. And I made this in the khutbah. The brothers were mad at me. But Allah, if we go back to, and I made a mistake in that khutbah, I said the Civil War. I meant to say World War I. If you go back to all of this stuff with the British, the French, how they came, and they took advantage during the time there was some shifting in the Ottoman Empire. They knew if we could get them, then we could take the region because this is the time. Everybody's fighting. They went to the Arabs who, unfortunately, they were being marginalized by the Turks. They were. Everybody wants to be with their people. Everybody wants to have their own jurisdiction, their own rule of thumb, their own, us. Especially when you feel marginalized. No one knows that better than the African American. So, hey, you feel it. How about embargoes? You're not getting certain foods and this and that, and you're asking why. And we're all Muslim, but why y'all doing us like this? Is it the Arab thing versus non-Arab? Is it European versus us who, what they said, the downtrodden of the sand? British and the French, they played on it. They said, listen, you want your own independence? All the way from Quds to Egypt, because all of that was Arab territory. I said, if you go against your brothers in Turkey, we'll aid you, we'll give you money, they name prices, we'll give you weapons, we'll give you independence. They went for it. Part of that agreement was that the Jews have their state in Palestine. Everybody knew it when they came to the table for the agreement, but shh, because we want our own joint. Understand me? Now people look and say, wait a minute, they were not the king. How are they friends with the Jews and they ain't never said nothing, dirty dog, the Saudis? Listen, everybody was in on the deal. You understand me? All of the Muslims. And then they got played. Once the victory was won, the Ottoman fell, the Muslims divided, bloodshed, they said, you know what? We're not giving you all of the land from Sham to Egypt. Take this little area of the Jazeera, Riyadh, the Mamlaka, and this, that, and be happy. Play them. Right now, the Saudis supposed to have all of that based on the Coates Agreement. That was the Coates Agreement. Yeah. So to have all that region. They ain't got none of that region. So this is added to the issue of Palestine. We created that by disobeying Allah and His Messenger. By looking at the dunya and closing our eyes to the hereafter. We created that. And now we want the Jews to solve it. And the UN to solve it. And America to solve it. And everybody else to solve it. And we scared. Why? Because we created the problem. We don't know what to do. The key is to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obedience. You're throwing rocks and stones and cocktails and missiles. What that's going to do? I think then they kill 20,000, 50,000 Muslims. Men, women, and children. You guys need to kill it. So this is connected to the problem, أخي. يعني إعراض كتاب الله عن سنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يعني الله إجاب يعني إجاب يعني القرآن مهجورة, accepting the Quran to be abandoned. That's what this got us. And it would never stop حتى يعني ترجع لدينكم. So you return to your deen. صح. Look at the legacy of the Muslims, how they went all over, from Yemen to Andalus and those great places in Africa, and all over the world, China, and obedience. It's only when the people left obedience, they lost. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. نسأل الله يوفقنا بطاعة ورجوع إلى توبته سبحانه وتعالى. اللهم استعان عليه تفضل.
No, clear. So is it from hikmah that we allow our women and our youth to participate in these demonstrations? These demonstrations, some of us feel, are a form of war or a form of combat. Is it from hikmah that we allow our youth and our women? Is this an issue that should be dealt with by the rijal only? No.
والله يا أخي جزاكم الله خيرا. أنا بشاي إجابة هذا السؤال. I'm shy to answer this because the door is already open. I can't close the door. People may feel some kind of way or whatever, because you're dealing with a sensitive situation. But just ask yourself, all of this stuff involves everybody. And, women are already, Allah musta'an, for less than that, on the camera, on the street, on the TV. So we're talking about lives. We're talking about people, deen, integrity. Wallahi, it's a close call. If someone sees it to be like war, women have been on the battlefield. We know that, when the Americans went into Somalia back in the day, they made this movie called Black Hawk. Yeah, the women was yeah, what it is. And it said behind every strong man, behind every great man is a strong what? Woman. هكذا. وضع أمنا عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها. Yeah. So what happens? And when it gets to that level, you can't stop them, akhi, because they have a commitment at that level that they're going, akhi, to the streets, to the ballot, they're going to the battlefield, whichever level that field may be, they're going, akhi. So, Allahu musta'an, akhi, Allahu a'lam, what is the resolution? Of course, in retrospect, it may not be looked at as something according to the Sharia. So we call them to that. We're going to have a rally, whoever signs up, or we want all the sisters and youth and men to come out. That might be looked as a very volatile or something that's not organic or authentic, orthodox, But again, we're not in those type of situations. It's not organic. It's not orthodox. We're dealing with some real extreme measures, man. So to each his own. Each situation is going to be different depending on the time, the day, the place, the land, and the people, and why they're doing it, and Allah knows best.
Another question here.
What
do you say about people here in America eating meat الذي يذبح غير اسم الله?
It's a long issue. And this question is always asked, but I don't mean to make people feel uncomfortable. But in that same ayat about the meat, اليوم حل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم وطعامكم حل لهم والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذا أعطيتموهن أجورهن محسنين غير مسافحين ولا متخذي أخدان. Nobody rejects those ladies. Moreoverly, she's a person of the book, but where's the conditions of afaf and the ladies in the bar. The lady drinks. The lady has a black eye because of her boyfriend. The lady is at the job telling you what she'll lick, this and that. And you'll say, I'm going to marry her, she's kitabiyah. You got to be kidding me. Nobody rejects that part of the ayah. They come here and they marry you, especially if she's abid. Oh, man, abid. What is better than the white people? They have to be so. Well, like even in Yemen, they make the people used to put this white stuff on their face. She could be summary or Buni, or that's what it's symbolic. She has to be a white bride. You gotta be kidding me.
Black people don't walk in the sun.
Yeah, so colonialism messed us up, I think, all of this stuff. So, wallahi, the issue was that, no one rejects the women, but everybody wants to reject the meat issue. So we understand if it's something clearly, if you look at the beginning of the ayah, where Allah said, Hurmat alaykum, Allah's supposed to mention. If we can prove one of those, khalas, you can't eat it. But Allah said, Wathkur ismallah alayh, for the dog who catches that meat. And the Prophet ﷺ said that for the people when they brought some meat to him in Medina, he said, Bismillah, eat it. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim. Those Jews, Allah said, وَأَكَلَهُمُ الصُّلْت. It took riba. Allah said, يَدَ اللَّهِ مَقْلُولَ. Allah's hand is tied. Those Jews, they said, Uzair ibn Allah. Those Christians, Isa ibn Allah. قد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة الأخي سبحان الله. But the Prophet bought gold from them, sheep, lamb. He took loans from them. So, whatever floats your boat, akhi. I'm not saying go get you a burger from Five Guys, and I'm not saying not, or maybe down at Wendy's. That's up to you. But the rule in Islam, sometimes the people don't differentiate between what's halal and what's dabiha. Halal one thing, dabiha another. No. And the people of the book, their meat is halal. Shaykh al-Baz, when he was asked about this, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, if you end what's considered dawlat al-kitabiyah, then that meat falls under that automatically. You have to have a clear reason not to eat it. I've seen them say in the name of Jesus. I've seen them say, bow, hit him in. I mean, even I remember Sheikh Muhammad said Ali back in the 90s, they went to, I said Tyson, someone correctly said Purdue, but one of those factories, and said the way they did the meat, that meat was the Jews to eat. Yeah. So, I mean, if the meat is, the Muslim serving meat, it's not properly said to say, Ahi, is this meat halal? You have to have husn sant, husn dhan with the Muslim. If you're going to a place, you know, the Jew or Christian, then you could say, I'm going to eat it, not eat it, because again, they have a Sharia. If they stick to that Sharia, then Allah has allowed it. And your Prophet ate from their meat, said Bismillah, Wallahu musta'an. So, this is the issue, but many times if people don't go to the top of the ayah, they just look at, the killing in other than the name of Allah. Killing in other than the name of Allah means just that. You killing in another name, in the name of Buddha, in the name of whatever, in the name of this. But if you just slaughter the meat, you don't say nothing. Does that mean halal, haram? I have a knife, I have the goat, I just do like this. The blood rush. I didn't say Bismillah. I didn't say Bismillah, Uswa. Is the meat halal, haram? It's halal. You didn't violate nothing. You just killed it. Yeah. Even the argument said if the non-Muslim slaughtered the meat, can the Muslim eat it? Some scholars, they said, so as long as he didn't violate, yeah. So as long as he didn't violate, why not? If the Muslim kill it and he say, in the name of Muhammad, can you eat it? No. He's Muslim, but that's not enough. You get the point? So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, da'ana yubidi malayim. Leave what you doubt for what you sure of, and it's in the kitab and the sunnah is legislated. But of course, again, if you see the way they kill it, it changes the ruling, it's mixed with this and that, what they inject in it, it has to be halal, what tayyibat, has to be good to wholesome. If it's halal but it's bad, you can't eat it. It's from the meat store, but the way they raised it is from the meat store, but Allah it was sitting out, it's fasted, you can't eat it. Allah Allahu a'lam, something like that. Long discussion on these issues, and Allah knows best.
You don't have to investigate.
We are prohibited on insulting from other religions. What if they are insulting our religion here?
Say it again, if they what?
Yeah, Allah prohibits us from insulting others' religion.
Yes.
What if they are insulting our religion here?
Well, when Allah revealed this ayah about not insulting their religion and their deities, they were insulting the believers at that time. Inna Allah yudafi'u 'ala al-mu'minin. Allah will defend the believers. Allah said it will be victorious. He's a witness of that. That's not going to stop the spread of Islam. Sure, look at what they do right now. They work so hard. They lie. They create event after event after event. Since the COVID, you didn't hear much about terrorism and this and that. They got tired of it. Got tired of it. 9/11, 9/25, whatever. Any number, any date. No. Conspiracy, this, that. So it's not going to stop Allah's promise. But you provoking them to do bad against Allah, to do bad against the Muslims, is another issue. So whether they do that to you or not, the injunction Allah told the Prophet, his followers, and it's for us until the day of judgment, don't do that to them. Don't insult their gods, their deen. Don't insult them, because this is not the answer. and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all wise. Now, our problem is we don't get educated, qualified, and give da'wah. If we give more da'wah of life, that void will be fulfilled, inshallah. But we're afraid. We're afraid to. And wallahi, many of them, this is what they're looking for because they're confused out here. We don't. Wallahu musta'an. May Allah strengthen us. Fix our affairs, protect us, guide us about it. هذا وصلى الله وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.